Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change, and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday, like today, for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you like the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, for today, we're going to continue our trend on all things email deliverability. But this one, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be much more interactive and short and punchy. And so what it is it's a quick quiz. We call it the are you an accidental spammer quiz. So you, as you know, if you've been listening to this, you know that Google and other email providers are cracking down more than before on emails that they view as spammy. So you've either heard about these specifically, you've maybe just noticed your email open rates, response rates aren't as strong as they once were, and you're starting to scratch your head wondering why. So we're going to go through a quiz, and it's going to help you determine whether your behavior might be deeming you as a spammer in Google's eyes, and then what you can do about that to make those changes. So first thing we want to caveat is, things that you may think that you're not spamming, or at least by your definition of spamming. But that's where this gets tricky, because this is where Google's eyes and our eyes of how we've seen email behavior over the past couple of decades at this point, how that's starting to diverge a little bit. So we've got 7 questions that we're going to run through, and it's going to help you understand what you might be being perceived as with these new regulations in place. So the first question is, do you send over 500 emails per day? Or do you have over 250 recipients in one email at a time? If you answer yes to this, you're going to be seen as a spammer by Google. Sending too many emails is a red flag in Google's eyes, and they might just start to classify this as spammy. Second question, are you sending to non-validated email addresses? And so what this means is when you send emails to email addresses that aren't valid, so you might see this through a number of bounces, kickbacks, things like that, that's going to also negatively impact the way that Google views you. Third question, do you screen your lists prior to sending to confirm all of the details? So for example, are you making sure that the contact information is correct and validated? Are you making sure that the right people are on the right list? This is coming back to segmentation. Are you double checking your outreach message to be sure that it's tailored to them and relevant? So this one's a little bit more gray, but what this gets into is open response, reply rates, because the lower these numbers are, Google's looking at this now as well and saying, hey, the response rates, the open rates, the engagement with these overall is lower than what we usually see. So that probably means that these emails aren't being welcome or aren't expected by the recipients. Fourth question, do you personalize your emails based on the recipients? So when we say personalize, we mean, personalization. It can be a merge field that brings in the candidate or the prospect's name, but it can also go so much further than that. And so this is a way to be sure that it's more relevant to them. So based on the content and the way that it's being presented to them. And so this is like that earlier point where this is really playing into open response, click rates, everything there. You're trying to increase your odds of all those happening. So Google sees like, okay, this is an email that is welcome in the recipient's inbox. Fifth question. Do you send the same message over and over to the same recipients? So for example, this could look like resending the exact same email again, or responding to the initial email without having received a response yet and saying something like thoughts, bump, what do you think? Those are starting to see as spammy by Google. One, again, it's, one, it's the same message over and over. They're seeing that come up, but two, it's again, more non-replies. So these are things you really need to keep in mind there. Sixth question, do you ever have the same recipients in multiple campaigns at one time? So for an example of this, you may have built an outreach campaign for 2 different jobs that you're working, but if you've dropped the same candidate prospect into both, they're going to be getting double the emails from you. So hopefully if you're following best practices, these will be relevant, these will personalize to them. But if not, you're doubling your odds of Google saying, you've emailed them multiple different times, we can see that it's different content, but they haven't replied to either. And so that's something that we're going to want to keep in mind there. And then final question, number 7. Do you set up multi-touch outreach campaigns such as email, phone calls, SMS, LinkedIn messages, or are you only sending outreach via email? So sending several emails to the same person in a row without any response is something that will raise Google's, what they call metaphorical eyebrow. Diversifying your outreach methods can help. So this one, Google has no idea if you're texting, if you're calling, but what it's doing if you are using a multi-channel approach is that candidate hopefully will be more likely to respond to the email if they see, you left a good voicemail, you sent them a DM in another place, they've been able to match a face to a name. So doing this last one, this bonus question, so to speak, isn't one that Google has no idea. I know we all think that Google can watch everything. They can't quite see all of this, but this is going to help you increase your response rates in the end. So these are 7 questions. They're pretty simple questions for you to think about, but based on your answers to those, that's going to help you to understand, are you looking a little bit more like a spammer in Google's eyes today, even though you might not feel like it, or based on your answers, you're not spammy in their eyes, which is phenomenal. So the goal is you're not going to show up that way with them, but I know we've been getting into some different tactics around how to understand if you are not being viewed as a spammer in Google's eyes moving forward. So thought this would be a fun little way to go through 7 quick questions to really put it into practice and let you see for yourself. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. That was a Tactical Tuesday on this. And as you all know, when we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you like this episode, but you're not sure where to go next, we do have a link to a similar one in the show notes. You can find that in the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform. Full video episodes are available online. You can see those on YouTube as well as on our website. If you ever have questions for us, send it to us, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It only takes 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, y'all. Hope this was helpful. Until next time.